So for the last 3 months, I keep getting asked the exact same thing over and over again on social media. Is it even worth starting a creative career now that AI can do it all for me? I mean, kind of fair. My name is Jess Wiseman. I'm a designer, and I built my career from stacking as many creative hobbies as I possibly could. From 3D animation to 2D digital illustration, ranging from Blender, After Effects, Illustrator, Procreate, as well as product designs. So I build my own products using my own IP, and I'd have an idea, create it in 3D, and then publish it on social media. And if enough people like the idea, then I'd find a manufacturer and create the product into a real-life thing. So all these examples are not actually real products on the screen. They're 3D designs that I'd post on my social media, and then, if enough people like it, I'll turn it into a real thing. As well as painting, so oil paints and acrylic. This was a mural I did 3 weeks ago for my good friends on YouTube, Nownish, and it took me 2 weeks to complete. As well as what I began back when I was 17 years old, pencil crayon portraiture, and to try and create a creative career for myself, where I'd cold email as many people as I physically could in order for the hopes that one day someone would say yes to me and I'd be able to get my foot in the door. Shout out KSI being the first person that said yes. And as a result, it's allowed me to work with some of the biggest brands and influencers in the space, ranging from Samsung to the Sidemen to Snoop Dogg, and even Converse when I was 16 and 17 years old to create a logo for their exclusive London shoe. However, this is all where it comes crumbling down, because I'm an artist in 2025, which to a lot of people means that I'm completely cooked. And they kind of have a point. You see, in 2001, Pixar created Monsters, Inc. Sully, the blue main character, required 2.3 million strands of hair, with some shots taking 12 hours to render per frame. At 24 frames per second, that's almost 2 weeks just for one single second of footage. Fast forward 10 years, and now we have software from Cinema 4D, Blender, and Maya that allowed individual artists to create the exact same thing, but this time from the comfort of their own bedroom. Fast forward to today, and now AI is creatively executing faster than our brain is evolved to handle. You see, Magnus Carlsen, the #1 chess player in the world, casually remarked on the Joe Rogan podcast that there's no chance he'd be able to outperform his own smartphone. He wasn't being dramatic either. It's recognition that certain skill-trained AI models can easily outperform human intuition. Well, I listened to this podcast and thought, well, what is the point? If the point of learning is to get incrementally better at skill every day until you one day reach mastery, but now mastery is already attained, and it's to a degree that it can outperform the Earth's greatest players in their field 10 out of 10 times, why would we bother competing at all? You see, the gap between effort and output has never been this small, and yet the speed of change has never been this fast. And yet the human brain has not evolved in almost 200,000 years. We still fear, we still doubt, we still procrastinate the same way we did when we were cavemen carving on stones. And so on the surface, my initial answer would be, why would we bother? We're clearly worse by every tangible metric. I mean, if you simply compound the rate of tech progression by a mere 2x in the next 5 years, we're going to be so much worse by every angle, it's not even going to be worth us comparing at all. However, I've come to realize that this is completely wrong. Human error is our individuality. And I think we're seeing more and more of this every day, but perhaps aren't being made more aware of it. You see, imperfection in 2025 is going to act as the new proof of authenticity. As AI starts to dominate all synthetic media, real human stories are going to gain value. You see, people don't want to watch a game of chess where each move is calculated 100 steps ahead of time, because human blunder builds storyline, and storyline only builds connection because it's relatable. We're way more invested when we feel something is at stake, because being seen as perfect is the least relatable human trait we have. Perfectionism is an unattainable human goal. The slight hold of a sneeze between a game of chess that leads you to lose your train of thought, like I just did, is the exact thing that AI finds it very hard to naturally recreate. Sure, it can replicate these human nuances, but to a literal artificial intelligence supercomputer whose primary goal is to reach an output in the most efficient and short way possible, these human errors they're not important. They're irrelevant on paper. And yet, they're the most relevant thing that we have. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. Dr. Lupo is a popular online streamer, and he recently participated in a chess tournament. He was ranked 612 ELO and was placed against an opponent almost double his ranking. Chess and many other player versus player games work in a point ranking system called ELO, where the higher the points you have, the better you are as a player. And therefore, in order to score more points or gain more points, you of course have to play against players better than you. Dr. Lupo entered the tournament as a clear underdog. And after losing his queen super early in the game should have been over quickly. But instead of losing his cool, the gameplay turned into something pretty uncanny. 26 engine-level moves in a row, including a very calculated pawn sacrifice, as well as him calmly ignoring an exposed queen. Choices so unhuman to any beginner player, of course, the streamer's chat caught on almost immediately. Naturally, if we're not a pro, all of us get overly excited when we see a free queen, because human chess is messy. We pause, we hesitate, and we lose our train of thought, and we make emotional over logical decisions on a choice-by-choice basis. The chaos is what gives the game texture. AI doesn't sneeze, it doesn't panic, it doesn't wonder if the crowd is bullying their every move. It just calculates perfectly and precisely. And it was that very precision that gave the game away. Of course, the perfectionism of Dr. Lupo's play was the exact indicator that it wasn't him playing at all. And it was, in fact, an AI chess assistant that he was using during the tournament. And that's the paradox. The very thing that AI optimizes for, the short, efficient route to success, is also the exact thing that exposes it. Take Kwebbelkop, a popular Minecraft YouTuber that by 2024 had replaced all his short-form content into an AI version of himself. On paper, this is efficiency at scale. In reality, his lifelong fans that knew his every mannerisms instantly picked up on the uncanny lack of soul in his content. To them, their favorite creator was no longer there. And thus, he started losing the one thing that matters most in this economy: community. And without that, even millions of subscribers can feel like an empty room. And these examples aren't solo either. We're likely going to see plenty more as AI starts dominating all areas of social media and all areas of interest. You see, the social media space has changed drastically over the last few years. We're no longer in the social media space. We're now entering the interest media. We're not just going on Instagram to speak socially to our friends anymore. We're opening the app to be fed what the algorithm knows that we're interested in. And as a result, this means two things. Number one, attention is the greatest asset on Earth right now. And with an infinite sea of content online, and with AI contributing to this content, this volume is not stopping anytime soon. And two, the algorithm isn't just showing us what's trending globally anymore. It's showing us what's trending specifically for you. And so with these two foundations, and in a giant sea of content on the internet, the pendulum is now swinging the other way. Humans aren't going to crave more content. They're going to start to crave what feels real, which means the more raw, imperfect, and authentic you are, the more likely you're going to find success in your own field. And you see, it doesn't just stop here. Because as perfect content increases online, we're now seeing a cultural shift back to raw, imperfect, and story-first content. And so this can be drawn all the way back to basic human biology. Our brain releases oxytocin, for example, when we sense honesty, and our mirror neurons fire when we see struggle. And for thousands of years, our survival depended on knowing the difference between what is real and what is fake. We are literally hardwired this way. And so, like I said, as perfect content increases online, there's this cultural shift now back to raw, imperfect, and story-first content. Things like lo-fi or behind the scenes or creators-driven content is now far outperforming perfect posts. And this is also a reason why the creator space is now far outperforming brands in 2025. Smaller clothing brands that are building their brand transparently on Instagram are gaining far more attention and ironically are selling out far faster than the giga brands that have 100 grand ad campaigns behind them. You see, Gen Z prioritizes trust over everything, which means you're also seeing brands that are now trying to be more relatable and post memes from their official account, because being seen as perfect is no longer the meta. Brands like Vandy the Pink or Off God Tate have, by vanity of followers, far fewer than, let's say, Nike. But those that are following them have a far higher invested interest in the creator behind the brand. And as a result, it's changing consumer behavior. People aren't just buying the product based on what the product is. We're now buying the product based on why. We are making emotional over logical decisions on a choice-by-choice basis. People aren't just buying the product, they're buying the person behind the product. And that's the shift. People are IP. You are your own intellectual property, whether you like it or not, or whether you're on social media or not. If you've never posted a single thing online and you have 0 followers, your friends, your family, and your colleagues still hold a perception of you. That is your IP. If you have 100,000 followers, you're almost creating that IP for yourself. If you have 0 followers, others will create that perception for you. Either way, your story and your individuality is your own personal brand. And this is only becoming more and more important. Because in the next 12 months, anyone is going to be able to create a 3-hour animated movie, an entire YouTube channel, or a virtual human brand at scale. And as a result, I also believe that in the next 5 years, the virtual influencer space is going to be one of the biggest spaces out there. People are going to start owning virtual people the same way that, say, Sanrio monetizes Hello Kitty. And so here's the irony. In an age where flawless output is instantly available to everyone, being flawless doesn't actually matter anymore. Perfectionism is about to be commoditized, which means your missteps, your imperfections, and your flaws are now your greatest asset, where fear and failure are no longer obstacles, but rather signals that are pointing to you to where the growth is. I feel I only know this because I've lived it. I've been an obsessive learner for most of my life, and as a result of trying and trying again, I've tried to stack as many creative skills as I possibly could. And as a result, it's allowed me to work with various big brands and influencers, but at the same time, I also have weird hobbies, like yo-yoing or magic and nunchucks. And I say all this because in hindsight, it's made me realize that actually none of this was about the mastery of the craft itself. And instead, it was teaching me to be bad at something long enough until you eventually get good at it. Not only is failure the only route to success, but it's the most relatable trait of being human. The output was never the point, and it never was the point. AI has output covered. And so, as a result of this, people, you can hear far more stories of people saying, I want to learn to paint, even if my paintings suck. Or, I want to learn to do a TED Talk, even if my public speaking sucks. So long as learning is the priority and the outcome is secondary, AI is going to be an incredible tool for any of us to learn any skill at any time. Information access has not been this widely available in the history of the planet. I mean, you no longer need a degree anymore. I didn't go to uni. Information access is available to everyone, and the way you use this privilege will dictate your own success. And so in 2025, technical execution is no longer the rarest trait. What separates us isn't talent, isn't skills, and it isn't even ideas. It's the willingness to fail fast enough, oftenly enough, and openly enough that we keep learning and moving forward. And that's how I believe we'll stay consistent, stay successful, and stay human in the new AI era. Not by being perfect, but by being brave enough to be imperfect often. Thank you very much.